Tennessee Titans fans, week 2, the preseason game against Seattle, literally just ended. I'm talking like, as I'm recording this, it ended like within the last 5 minutes. And hey, game-winning drive. Game-winning drive, game-winning field goal as time expired. Do final scores really matter in the preseason? No. But it was fun. It was fun. The Titans got the ball back with 1:55 to go, down by 2 with their timeouts, and they went down and they had a game-winning drive and they won. Hey, how fun is that? Just something to get the blood flowing a little bit. Let's talk about what I liked in this game. And I'll start with defense because I always start with offense. Jalen Harrell. No starters in the game. Really on either side of the ball. No starters in the game. We knew that going in. Brian Callahan had said there's not going to be any starters. But we've been waiting on somebody at that edge rush position to show a little life. I mean, well, good news today on Arden Key. We saw that, the 6-game suspension, he appealed it, he won. There is no 6-game suspension for Arden Key anymore. That's good news. Very good news. But still, you've been waiting on somebody at that edge rush position to come alive. And Jalen Harrell, we had heard, hey, in practice, this guy's tearing it up. In training camp, this guy's tearing it up. Was 7th round pick out of Michigan. This guy's killing it. And tonight he had 2 sacks. Was all over the field. Hey, I like what I saw from him, and I like the idea of a 7th round pick being a steal for the Tennessee Titans. Great game by him tonight. Chance Campbell was obviously, last week, he was the player of the game. He was all over the place. Tonight, not as epic of a performance from Chance Campbell, but I mean, how could you live up to what you did last week? But he was still all over the place, and I absolutely think he is going to make the roster. And he's going to get playing time. Not as much as he is in the preseason, but I mean, he's going to be in the rotation. That inside linebacker position for Tennessee is pretty needy. They need some guys to step up. Otis Reese was in there tonight. James Williams, also a 7th round pick that's moved to linebackers, doing some things. And Chance Campbell. No Kenneth Murray tonight, no Gibby, but, I mean, these are guys that are going to have to be in a rotation, and they're going to have to play well. So Chance Campbell was still all over the place tonight. Otis Reese was out there. The defense is a little sus to me. I know it was all backups tonight, but I'm still a little worried about that inside linebacker position. I'm always going to be worried about edge rush. The corner depth, once you get past Snead and Awuzie and McCreary, once you get past the starting few, feel like Brownlee, who did some good stuff in week 1 of the preseason, he kind of came back down to earth. I'm not saying we have to give up on him. He's a rookie. He's working through it. But tonight, there was one drive in particular that Seattle had that was like, welcome to the NFL, buddy, because they were picking on him, and I think one guy stiff-armed him into the dirt. So I still am high on him, but a little tougher night for him tonight. Trey Avery. I will say this about Trey Avery. He gave up the touchdown early. A lot of Titans fans are kind of put out with Trey Avery right now, but he did make some nice plays later in the game in the second half. He was still in there, and he was battling, and he was fighting. I sound like Vrabel. He was battling. He was competing. And, I don't know. I don't know what all corners are going to make the roster. Right now, I'm confident, of course, Snead, Awuzie, McCreary, probably Brownlee, and then, after that, leave me in the comments below who you think. What else? Defensively, Keandre Coburn was in there again. The new guy that they signed, because Marlon Davidson had to go on IR. The new guy they signed to replace him, he made a nice play on 3rd and 1 there to hold the Seahawks to a field goal on their last offensive drive of the game. I thought that was nice. Anything else defensively that stood out to me tonight? Not really. The main thing that concerns me is the inside linebacker depth. Even the starters, you could argue, are a little iffy, but especially the rotational guys that are going to be in there as well. Okay, now let's go to offense. Malik Willis got the start, but it was kind of back and forth between him and Mason Rudolph all night. Obviously, like we said, no starters, no Will Levis, no Calvin Ridley, no Spears, Pollard, Boyd, Okonkwo, Wiley, none of those guys. And it's telling when you look at the offensive line first of all, who started last week when the starters were in there and who got to sit tonight. It's pretty telling. We learned things tonight about kind of the direction that some of these things are going. It certainly looks like Latham, Skoronski, Cushenberry, Radens, and Petit Frere is the starting offensive line because none of them played tonight. He said the starters weren't going to play, and those guys didn't play. So, I mean, what does that tell you? Rupkic, the guy that his name had been thrown around as maybe a possibility to knock Radens off at that right guard position, he played a lot tonight. I don't think he did anything to necessarily steal that position away from Dylan Radens in the game tonight. So I think the starting five's probably locked in on that offensive line. I actually didn't think tonight's offensive line did too bad though. I mean, it was, Jalen Duncan, you had some of those guys in there. It had its issues for sure, but overall I think they hung in there pretty well. Malik Willis, I do not think is going to make the roster. I would be just flat out shocked if Malik will. And it's not a knock on him. I do think Malik has improved. I think that he looks more comfortable. He looks less chaotic when he's in there like he has in the past. In the past, he's just looked like he was, running around like a chicken with his head cut off. But tonight, he looked more comfortable, looked more certain of what he wanted to do. The fact of the matter is, Mason Rudolph is far and away the number 2 guy. And he always has been, but you've had this section of the fan base, because the reports we were hearing for practice about Malik was that he had improved so much and he was doing so many good things, there were people who were like, could he maybe surpass Mason Rudolph? I never believed that he was going to surpass Mason Rudolph, and tonight solidified Mason Rudolph is the surefire number 2 behind Will. I mean, it's just the game-winning drive at the end, the touchdown drive at the end of the half, the first half, like, it's just set in stone. And if they wanted to take 3 quarterbacks to the main roster, okay, maybe Malik makes it, but I don't think they're going to want to do that. I would love to have Malik on the practice squad. That would be great, but I just don't think Malik's making the main roster. In terms of the running back 3 battle between Julius Chestnut and Hassan Haskins, and I'll throw Jabari Small's name in there too, it certainly looks like Julius Chestnut is going to be. I mean, I don't know. I felt like he was getting like 80% of the carries tonight. I mean, maybe they'll put him and Haskins both on the roster and let Haskins be a special teams player. I could see that happening, obviously, but in terms of that running back 3, I think it belongs to Julius Chestnut after tonight. Wide receivers. I think Jaquan Jackson has really emerged as a player that I am very excited about. I was cool with him anyway, but after watching him tonight and the way he was in joint practices with Seattle this week, the training camp that he's had, I'm very excited about Jaquan Jackson, and I think he is, no pun intended, running away with that returner position. I know we talked about, is it going to be him or Kieras? Which Jackson is going to get the edge? I think it looking like it is absolutely going to be Jaquan Jackson as the 6th wide receiver. Brian Callahan has said he doesn't want to take any more than 6. Doesn't mean he can't go back on that, but if it is 6, I think that 6th guy is absolutely going to be Jaquan Jackson, and I'm excited about him. I think that he did some great things tonight. He's an explosive player. He's fast in the return game. He can be very effective. And I wonder where that lands Kieras Jackson. I don't know. I also don't know, speaking of things I don't know why Nick Westbrook-Akine had to even be in there tonight. Traylon Burks did not dress out. Traylon Burks was not in the game, but Nick Westbrook-Akine was. Had a great touchdown at the end of the first half. Why is Nick Westbrook-Akine, is he having to prove himself? To me, Nick Westbrook-Akine is a no-brainer to make this roster. I have no idea why he had to even be in there. Maybe it's because, Kyle Phillips couldn't go. I don't know. But all these other guys, I just, I felt like I was watching a bunch of guys that are not going to make the roster. Mason Kinsey, I know a lot of you guys love him. I don't think he's going to make it. He's done some good things in the preseason. I just don't think he's going to make it. The tight end position, I'm not sure. Odukoya is most likely the pick to back up Okonkwo and Wiley. And I think that's... Oh, what about the kicker? Oh, I got to talk about the kicker. 59-yard field goal. and then the game winner, you better watch out, Nick Folk. You better watch out, because this kid is coming in here, and he's kicking. He's kicking, all right? So good stuff there. The Titans have one more preseason game next week, and it's a road one at New Orleans against the Saints. And I want to say this. I would like to see at least some of the starters back in there for a little bit. I would like to see the starting 5 offensive linemen get some work in. A couple of possessions like they did against San Francisco. I'd like to see Latham, Skoronski, Cushenberry, Radens, and Petit Frere in there for a couple possessions against New Orleans. I'd like to see Will Levis get a little bit of time. Maybe not Calvin, but I'd love to see Traylon Burks get back in there. I'd love to see Chigo Okonkwo get some work defensively. I'd like to see Tavondre Sweat get a little more work. I'd like to see Kenneth Murray back in there. I'd like to see some of the starters getting some work again against New Orleans in that final preseason game, because I do feel like it would be good, especially for those younger guys. They need to get in there and get that work in. But hey, Titans have the drive there at the end to beat Seattle. Good stuff from Mason Rudolph, and the kicker. Narvison? I don't even know the guy's name. Narvison? Better watch out for him. Better watch out for him. Some good stuff to take away, some stuff that I'm still concerned about. But it is a Titans dub, and I will see you for Victory Monday on the Two Tone Talk podcast Monday at 1 p.m. Eastern, noon Central. I'll see you there on Monday. God bless you. Tighten up.